This is my camera. Let me know when you're ready.
This is Max. Call me.
Hello. Welcome to Triggs Table Talk Special Edition, LegacyCon 2025 Black Professional Summit. I'm your host, Dr. Wilton Triggs. Thank you guys for being here. We are here to talk about battle-ready wellness for the long game. And I have this esteemed panel to help you elevate your careers as well as elevate your health. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our panel with our first question. Every journey to legacy starts with maintenance. Before we build anything, we have to make sure our bodies are ready for the mission. Dr. Adibe, what are the most common warning signs you see from Black professionals that ignore until it's too late?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So I'm a primary care physician, and I often find that professionals don't look at the long effects of stress. So as young professionals, you're grinding, you're taught to always go to the next step and what can I do to achieve? And then when you add being Black into being a young professional, you know you have to go twice as hard always, and that can really affect your health. So long-time chronic stress can lead to high blood pressure, it can lead to different cancers, it can lead to a whole slew of diseases. And so I often find patients come in with heightened anxiety, and we really try to have them find what the root of their stress is and allow them to understand that decreasing stress can really give you that longevity in life.
Are there any screenings or tests or anything that they should be doing that are non-negotiables that are committed to, longevity?
Yeah, so one, coming to your primary care physician every single year to get baseline labs is super important because contrary to popular belief, primary care is here for preventative measures. So if we don't know your baseline of, your thyroid function, of your cell lines, then we can't really prevent diseases from happening. So if you come to me every year, we're gonna, sit down, talk your way through the year and just get you right so that you can be nice and
make sure this is working. Anyway, I know for Black men, they have been testing PSAs a little bit earlier. Also for women, they're starting to do mammograms a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Are there suggested ages that you would want them to, if they were your patient or just in general, to start getting these tests done?
Absolutely. So it depends on your age group and then obviously other risk factors. But for women, breast cancer screening starts at age 40. It can go down in age depending on if you have an immediate family that also had breast cancer. Correct for Black men, prostate cancer starts at 45, but honestly, it's a blood test for me. So if I can start earlier, the better. If there's family history of it, I'll start at age 40. And then of course, colon cancer, which is on a rise in the United States, now starts at 45 or 10 years earlier to whatever your immediate family age was diagnosed. So there's a lot of cancer screenings out there. So that's why it's so important to go to your primary care physician every year.
Gotcha. Dr. Walker, misalignment isn't just physical. It shows up in our energy and focus. What everyday habits are quietly throwing us off balance?
Absolutely. So one that's quietly throwing us off balance is our posture, right? I can say we all probably have our phone in our hands. Text neck is a thing that's happening now. We lean forward, we hunch over. Like majority in the room, right? When I come around, the posture need to change. And it's just that. We don't think about it, but it's just that. We bundle over our shoulders, in turn get an upper cross syndrome. Our muscles are tight. That continue then to bring stress on the nervous system. So making sure that we are checking our posture and being mindful of that micro trauma that happens over a period of time.
Gotcha. How can professionals counter this desk job damage that builds over time?
Absolutely. So you want to invest in yourself, right? If your company's not investing in yourself, you want to invest in yourself. So that's an ergonomic chair. That may be, making sure that your computer is at eye level at a 90-degree stance. You want to make sure that you're standing up after a period of time. Just like our Apple Watch give us an indicator, we got to give ourselves some indicators. You also want to stay hydrated. You want to make sure that throughout that process of sitting constantly throughout the day, you're moving, but you're staying hydrated. The person who comes into my office with sciatica is the person who has a dry disc. A dry disc means that disc is dehydrated. So you want to make sure that you're in motion. You want to make sure that you're taking care of your posture, but also investing in ergonomic things that cause prevention than reaction.
Okay, like those stand-up desks and things like that?
Yes, or just even a cushion behind your desk, right? I mean, behind your chair, so you have some support.
Gotcha. All right, Mr. Trish, most of us know what to do. Eat better, move more, but the discipline gap is where professionals fall short. How can we close that?
Well, you know what? That's a great question because knowledge isn't usually the issue, in terms of living a healthier lifestyle. I think oftentimes it's a lack of systems in place. And oftentimes the high performer in their professional life, they rely on, getting things done. There's an urgency, there's deadlines, there's deliverables. But when it comes to our health, we just kind of rely on willpower, right? And so I think creating systems and putting systems in place for our health will help us be more consistent because the issue at hand is just consistency.
Right. All right. So why is consistency so hard for these high performers who are disciplined in literally every other aspect in their life?
Well, you think about the high performer, one of the reasons why they're so successful in their professional life or in their business life is because they're organized. They have a system, right? They plan their schedules, they have calendars. But when it comes to physical activity or nutrition, we just kind of winging it, right? We're not scheduling anything. We're not planning our meals. And so I think if we can create a system, right? If we can literally organize our lives and prioritize, right? Give that same sense of urgency to our health and not necessarily wait for an emergency, we can be a lot more consistent and live a healthier life.
Right. Is there anything simple that somebody can start off with? Like, if you had like a client that comes in that's trying to turn their life around, turn their health around, is there like a simple set of things that you can, prescribe them or recommend to them to go ahead and get this journey started?
That's a great question. So I gave a talk for BPN last year, and we talked about an acronym that I share with them. It's called MISS, right? And I think too often we minor in the major and we major in the minor. What do I mean by that? We focus on the things that impact our lives the least, or our health the least. And the things that we should be focusing on the most, we give little energy or effort to, right? And these are the simple things that are gonna impact our health the most, right? So that acronym that I shared with you guys, MISS, stands for movement, intake, sleep, stress. Making small changes in those areas that you can be consistent with is gonna impact your life more than that supplement that you think you need. All right. So, for example, with your movement, simple things as just getting up and going for a walk, 10 to 15 minutes a day, right? Parking that car further and not trying to take the handicap parking space, right? Taking the stairs at work. And even with intake, planning simple things, setting your environment up for success. What are you keeping in your homes, right? Everything works in moderation, but we also got to know what foods and snacks are a little bit of a struggle for us to eat in moderation, right? Simple things as what's the frequency in terms of how many times I'm dining out a week? Can I minimize that? Right?
I don't want to minimize that. That's like my favorite thing to do. It's a hobby for me.
It's a hobby for you. And I think it's good, right? But we just have to be mindful of it, right? I think when it comes to sleep, this is a good one, guys. I mean, we undermine how important sleep is, right? We want to go to bed late and binge watch our favorite show on Netflix, and then we show up to work and wonder why we're tired. Right. Wonder why we binging on Starbucks. And it's just, I'm so sorry. She just gave me the nastiest look. But just prioritizing our sleep, going to bed earlier, that is gonna impact the following day so much, and even just for long-term health, cognitive health, right? And then stress. How are you managing your stress? Yeah, that's right, Kanasha. Are you managing it in a healthy way, right? And so each week, making small, realistic, sustainable changes in those areas are going to transform your life.
Right. Dr. Adibe, is there anything that you do with your busy schedule, ripping and running, your social media? Is there anything that you do to try to take a pause for yourself?
Well, I'm very big into self-care. So on the weekends, I try not to look at anything related to like my actual work. So being a physician, and I pour into my hobbies, which are social media. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy mentoring. And I think when you're able to pour into yourself and really prioritize yourself, love yourself first, and you get back to your job, you're able to be revitalized and you're able to really put your best foot forward.
Right, right. And so how's that different from when you were a resident?
Oh, Lord. I try to forget about that time. Residency, as I was talking about stress and how stress can increase your cortisol levels, residency was the worst time of stress for me. And I'm sure, obviously, you understand too. It was constant time changes, going from a daytime shift to a nighttime shift, and putting on extra weight because I was stressed out and because my body wasn't in balance. And I think that time period really taught me the importance of prioritizing myself. In residency, you can't do that. You're working 80 to 100 hours a week. You get, 4 weeks of a break in a year. So now that I'm on the outside, on the good side, I can pour back into myself, pour back into my community, and just, really live life finally.
Right. Dr. Walker, what are some small things that you do daily that other professionals could, possibly mimic or take up that kind of keep you balanced and keep you focused throughout the day to, help with your overall wellness?
Absolutely. So I do a time block in my schedule, right? I want to make sure that throughout my day, I am focused on protecting my nervous system. So that's time block. As a chiropractor, I make sure that I get adjusted. Outside of that is, as I shared about hydration, making sure that you think of yourself, make sure that you're in motion, making sure that at the top of the day, you consider yourself and make sure that align throughout the day. So being focused, I hear everyone. I think the common thing here is stress. Stress leading to chronic disease, stress. So time block helps me with that. If it's not in a certain time that I need to get it done, it may not be getting done, right? And I am real firm on no being an answer. And if it can't happen this time, it can't happen at this time, right? So it's the opportunity to balance and what do you look like, right? Making yourself a priority so other things can align with.
Yeah, I think taking the small steps, little bit by little bit, definitely helps. Because if you try to make these massive jumps, massive leaps, you're more likely to fail. I know from a personal standpoint, I had bad nutrition in residency, especially as a second-year resident, which is our program's hardest year. I would come home, I would eat like half a pack of bacon, I'd eat like 2 bowls of ice cream, and they'd be like, "Where's dinner at?" And that was just terrible. And then I started getting that dad bod. I started getting that gut. So we had to change all that around. So it was a little bit changes though. So like I used to drink like dairy or like cow's milk or whatever. And then I switched from like to 2% the skim milk. Then I was doing like oat milk. And then like now I barely like touch dairy unless it's like in cheese or whatever. And then bacon, I used to put bacon on everything. Now I have it like maybe once a week or something like that with breakfast with the kids or whatever. So it's like these small incremental changes that can really add up to big results. Back to Daniel. So how can we turn exercise and nutrition into a form of daily energy management and not just punishment?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think, I love the way you reframed it, right? In terms of energy management. And I think the important concept here is to reframe how we view exercise and nutrition. Exercise shouldn't be a repayment for what you ate. And oftentimes we treat it that way, right? I ate this, I need to go burn this, right? That's a losing equation, all right? And so we have to reframe our minds on how we view movement, right? We move for better function. We move for a better future. And same for nutrition, right? We eat for performance. We eat for energy balance. And I think most importantly, the third thing that I really want to share with you all is you have to reframe your perspective on what it is in terms of why I do what I do. So, for example, the biggest reason I encourage my clients is the reason why you're making that healthier choice, the reason why you're choosing to be physically active is because you're investing in the future you. right? You working so hard, you working crazy hours, you putting an endless amount of hours into that business, successful business. Some, like Kanasha said earlier, some of you guys are gonna be millionaires in here, billionaires in here. But what good is that wealth if you don't have the health to go with it, right? Are you able to travel? Are you able at an older age to take that luggage and place it in an overhead bin? Are you able to take the hikes? Are you able to take the trips? Or are you going to need somebody to stroll you around, push you around? And so those are the decisions we make today. And just understanding, what I like to tell my clients is, you don't have to eat healthy. You don't have to be physically active. You get to do it. And when you see it that way, you see the blessing in it.
No, I absolutely agree. I think for me, like being a parent, I want to be able to keep up with my children. And so like I'm constantly like going to the gym, doing cardio. And then like, I was doing these like HIIT classes, man. If you ever done a HIIT class, like it's exhausting. And like I wasn't consistent with it though. So like it never like really got better. And so I had to find a form of cardio that, made me more consistent. So now I do like the incline treadmill on, incline of 15, 30 minutes on speed 3. You know what I'm saying? So they call it, I was doing it a couple of weeks ago, or probably about a month ago. And my homeboy was like, man, you out here doing that hot girl walk? I was like, man, I didn't know that's what it was called. I just know it's working for me.
Well,
So, yeah.
Dr. Briggs, you know what's good about that is you find what works for you.
Exactly.
Right? Too often we're trying to do what the Instagram influencer is doing, and it's not working. You can't be consistent with it. So a lot of times high performers is all or nothing.
Right.
It's got to be perfect. Can I tell you, there is no perfect person in terms of this lifestyle? It's what works for your lifestyle. Exactly. What can you be consistent with?
Right.
I try to tell my patients that too, because a lot of times, when people ask me when do me and my fiance work out, we work out at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, but that's the only time that works in our schedule. If you can move for 15 minutes in a day, that is so much better than not moving at all.
Absolutely.
Like, I have seen chronic illnesses from the age of 30 all the way up until 60. And when you have, like you were saying, the blessing to move your body, to try to prevent that, to eat nutritious foods that really feed your cells, because we're walking living cells, right? Yeah. And as much as we love to indulge in the good foods and the wines and, the mojitos and all that, those are not nutritious to our cells. And so in order for us to continue to live and have that longevity, when you start thinking about nutrition in that aspect, and I was able to do that after residency. I was eating Chipotle and like all that type of stuff during residency. But it's when you realize that I really just need to eat to kind of give myself energy, essentially. And if you really prioritize whole foods, and I tell my patients this all the time, you don't need to be on some fad diet.
Right.
Whole foods, if you're trying to lose weight, be in a caloric deficit, move your body, and those things are just super important.
No, absolutely. I think they say abs are made in the kitchen. The hardest part of like a fitness or like a body positivity standpoint is the nutrition, the eating part. I think that's the hardest part. I think scheduling your meals, being intentional with what you want to eat, and that doesn't mean you have to eat like chicken breasts, Monday through Saturday with a side of rice and a side of greens, so you can spice it up. There's all these like free things on Instagram and social media to help you to get to that point. I preach this to my patients all the time because they come in and I was like, you're a little bit on the higher BMI side. Well, I want to look like this. And I was like, I can't do that. That, what I'm saying? Like maybe some men, but I'm not God in here. So I think that's really important to step by step, be intentional. And I think that works out in every aspect of life. And so, they say discipline protects momentum, but even the most dedicated can push too far. And that's where, the attack begins. Because remember, this is LegacyCon. We are, preparing for battle for long-term wellness. So to the panelists, if every legacy builder here took one action in the next 30 days to successfully defeat attacks like neglect, burnout, or other illness, what would it be? We can start with you, Dr. Adibe.
I think I would say to remember that life will always have stress, right? But there's certain things in life that you really just cannot control. And when you're able to look at those stressful situations like, well, I'm going to get through it. I just can't control what's happening to me right now. You're able to kind of reverse those chronic effects of stress. And so I think my biggest advice is just to heed what your body is telling you. Look at the signs, the fatigue, the drowsiness, all of those things, and try to reverse that ongoing stress in your life that you have.
My advice would be to ditch the diet culture mindset and just really focus on balance. Focus on creating healthy systems that honor your health, that honor your mental health, and just finding that balance. So for me, I would highly encourage you all to ditch the perfection, all or nothing mindset, and just find a balance, find a healthy balance for your health.
As a chiropractor, I would say protect your nervous system, right? The stress that comes in your life, the emotional changes that may happen, your posture, being mindful of it, and be mindful of the chemical things that we either put in our body, as we talked about with food, or put on our body. So just making the extra effort to think about ourselves, right? Your future self, the legacy that we're building. In order to be here, your health is your wealth. And in order to have that legacy and live it through effectively and pass it on to your children, we got to protect our nervous system.
Yeah. I think for me, it's if you can just chalk out 15 minutes just to go for a simple walk, nothing crazy, just once a week, that'll build your momentum. And you'll see that, oh, I didn't go on my walk today. And then next thing you know, you're doing it on 2 days and 3 days, and you're increasing the time. And so I think just those small baby steps can make a huge impact. Also, back to nutrition, I try to eat very clean as much as possible, Monday through Friday, of course. And then, because, outside, on the weekends, we outside at all the restaurants, all the restaurants.
Big back Saturdays.
Big back Saturday, Sunday, and sometimes Monday mornings. But say it's hard, because I know at the end of the night, I didn't ate like 2 meal preps, I'm good. And then I see, I go to the cupboard, I go to the cabinet, and I got a big bag of Jolly Rancher gummies, and so it's we all fall short. That's what I'm saying. It's all about balance. It's all about moderation. It's all about moderation. With that being said, the purpose of this session was to prepare you guys, to take your health seriously and not just a side goal. We want it to be foundational, to leave a lasting impact, and that, legacy is built through endurance. And the only way you can establish endurance is taking care of yourself. Health is truly wealth. And I want to just say thank you to this amazing panel, if you could, for being here and, volunteering their time, give it up for them. I'm Dr. Wilton Triggs, plastic and reconstructive surgeon. Remember, we do have some bills to pay. Your consultation is completely free. I am in Miami. I am based in Miami. I do all aesthetics. I don't do anything with insurance anymore. Remember to click, like, subscribe, share this information, because it could be advantageous for the next corporate professional that's trying to elevate their career, elevate their longevity, and it may just save somebody's life. And so with that being said, thank you for tuning in to Triggs Table Talk, LegacyCon 2025 Black Professional Summit. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.